Well, there's a very special visitor in town, and I'm not talking about the king. Screen queen Kate Winslet is here promoting her new film, Lee. Until now, Lee Miller has been known as a model and a muse, but those are the least interesting things about her. Lee's most important role was almost lost to history because she never spoke about it. Then, Kate came along.
Europe was at war, and I felt useless.
I hear you're the woman to see about a job.
I am.
We don't hire older models.
I'm not a model anymore.
I'd rather take a picture than be one.
It's just so creative. Send me to Europe.
From the glossy pages of fashion magazines to the front line during World War II, Lee Miller swapped life in front of the camera for one behind it, breaking barriers in more ways than one.
There's no women allowed in the press briefing.
You gotta be kidding me.
We don't send women to combat.
Well, that's a problem, because I'm here. Why should the men get to decide?
She brought the horrors of war back home so the world could know the truth, no matter how ugly it was.
Even when I wanted to look away, I knew I couldn't. There are different kinds of wounds. Not just the ones you can see.
Can I also say how lucky we are? We've got all the English royalty in town at the moment. We've got the King, Queen and Kate Winslet.
No, they are actual royalty. Let's be real. How amazing! I'm here at the same time as King Charles and Queen Camilla. That's nice.
Only one of you can pull off the Aussie accent, though.
Oh, thank you.
I didn't say it was you.
It's definitely not them. No, let's be real. It's definitely not them.
Yeah. Can I say, watching this film, I don't know whether like to hug you or curse you, because I am now obsessed with Lee Miller. What a woman.
Yes, I know. Did you know who she was before seeing this film? You see, that's why I wanted to make the film, because I knew of her photographic work, but I didn't know anything about the lengths that she went to get the permission as a female photographer to go into Europe and to document what was happening on the front line, revealing the truth of the Nazi regime for the female readers of British Vogue. It's extraordinary that she did that.
So I feel like she's a woman of our time, but when you go back to then and try and think of what that world looked like at that time. And here she is, she's on the front line. She's visiting concentration camps. I mean, that famous photo of her in Hitler's bathtub. But what a trailblazer.
She was a trailblazer, and as you say, it was 80 years ago, and this is a woman who was already redefining femininity to mean resilience and power and courage and compassion. And Lee was remarkably without vengeance. You know, she had suffered a horrific trauma as a child, but refused to let that define her. But what it did do is it gave her this very powerful streak of injustice and that determination to just keep going, to seek out the truth, to reveal the ugly truth to the world, and not to take no for an answer. And there's something incredibly inspiring about that, and not looking away. She was there to bear witness, and never at any point did she say, okay, no, this is too much, I'm going home.
It's too hard.
She just kept going. And it's an incredible selfless act, actually. And she's the most inspiring person I've ever played.
That's a big call, right? Considering your career and the years you've spent in this industry, to highlight this as a pinnacle in a way.
Well, it's been such a large part of my life, and now it's 9 years since the very, very beginning in 2015. And even when I look at the poster, I'm like, okay, I don't have to keep making the film. It's really happened. It's really real. There is a poster. That's my face on the poster. And here I am doing a press junket talking about the film in Australia.
I'm not sure you're ready to let it go.
But it's really, but I don't think, in a way, I hope that I never do in a funny way. You know, I sort of feel like this is, you know, sometimes the characters get a little bit stuck to the side and you just have to kind of get on with it and you move on with your life. And sometimes they become a bit of a part of you in a way. And there are things that Lee did as a woman, and how she walked through the world was so phenomenally powerful and compassionate. And she was an amazing lady, and I hope there's a bit of her that always stays in me.
Stop! Who cares? Nobody saw them. You didn't print them. I fought for them, Lee.
Not hard enough.
I mean, we talk about her being a trailblazer, and there are words like, you know, that she was rebellious, brave. They're all words that have all
also been associated with you.
It's really interesting because I don't feel rebellious, you know. I just feel as though I've always, you know, I've known my own mind for most of my adult life. And I think you definitely learn that and learn how to use your integrity and your words and your actions in a more, I suppose, profound way the older that you get. But I wanted to make the film covering this decade of Lee's life because she had been so labelled herself when she was younger. She was a model, she was a cover girl for Vogue. She didn't like being a model. She famously said, "I'd rather take a picture than be one." But also she was described, when I would Google her in 2015, as the ex-lover and muse of Man Ray. So this sort of obsession with describing women alongside their love lives seems really, really reductive to me.
Do you think we've moved that far from it, though?
I don't know if we have moved far enough from it, and I think making films like Lee hopefully pushes that message further down the line towards us not keeping doing all of that stuff, because women are women. It doesn't matter what our past is. It doesn't matter who we've dated. It doesn't matter any of that stuff.
But I feel like that's a lot of the things that you have called out during your career too. Even going back to the time of Titanic, and that I think you called it borderline abuse. You copped around your body, and you know, at what point do you think you found that confidence and power to stand up to that?
I think I'm probably still finding it now. I mean, I think as we do get older as women, I fully believe that we become more powerful, more beautiful, sexier, more intelligent, more in our bodies. And I think we're hearing women's stories in the world and narrative stories in a completely different way, like almost with different sets of ears to ever before.
Yeah, I feel like your narrative helps that conversation along as well in regards to body. I think you've helped shift that narrative, and also in the fact, I mean, you're so vocal on other things like social media, which I appreciate as a mum with young kids, right?
It's important to me that I think that it's talked about, this issue of families struggling with whether to give their children social media or not, what to do if they have it or they use it perhaps too often. What I was finding in the UK was that parents were feeling very alone because they didn't know how to talk about it if they were struggling. So I definitely do believe in opening up channels for conversation around subjects that people often feel either ashamed to talk about or just don't actually have the words.
You dislike anyone who questions you, especially when you know you're wrong. And you have secrets, many, that you'll never share.
I'm never wrong.
I think it is time for us to stop them for a cup of tea. Can I ask you to throw back to Ali in the studio for me?
Back to you, Ali, in the studio.
Oh, gee, thanks, Kate. And I don't care what she says, she's a queen in my eyes. Kate Winslet's incredible film Lee is in cinemas this Thursday.